Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today we're going to be talking about managing your advertising better, how to blend data streams for success. We're going to be talking about strategies that businesses can employ to effectively consolidate these fragmented data sources. Speak English, Norm, and the pros and cons of using snapshots versus time series data analysis. So, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
All right, today I am excited about this because this is one of my favorite ladies in the space, and she's going to be talking about managing your advertising better, how to blend data streams for success. Our guest is the CEO and co-founder of PPC Ninja. She has been in the e-commerce industry for 10 years. That means she must have started this at 13. And she is passionate about helping sellers with creative Amazon PPC strategies that work. And we're talking about my friend and PPC Ninja, Rita Java. Anyways, now let's talk. Let's go to our sponsor before we get to Ritu and Kelsey. Hit the button. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by SureGo Marketing. Ready to take your brand to the next level on TikTok and Instagram? SureGo Marketing specializes in helping entrepreneurs and coaches build profitable brands on TikTok and Instagram and in less than 90 days. With SureGo Marketing, you can build your brand, create incredible video content, and increase leads without spending a single dime on ad spend. Visit SureGoMarketing.com today and elevate your brand. Now, let's get back to the show. All right. So, where is the boy Blunder, the mayor of Blunderville?
Hello, hello. Happy Friday, sir.
Capital B, Mr. B.
Mr. B.
Yes. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. How is our Beer Nation doing? Brad, Cool Hand 99, and Drip. Good to see you all. Happy Friday. And yeah, we got a great episode. We've got Ritu back. I think this must be her maybe fifth time now.
Yeah, she's one of our most popular guests.
Yeah, so get ready for today's episode. It's going to be a good one. And if you do have questions, let us know in the comment sections. We'll be happy to answer those throughout the podcast. And we've got a great giveaway too that we'll be explaining shortly. Redbeard, good to see you. How's it going? And yeah.
Okay, we also have a really great lineup for next week. You want to go through those people? Do you know?
Yes. Let me see if I can remember.
Let me see. Test your mind, memory.
John Tilley. We've got Kevin King. And who is the other one? Let me just go back. Let me double check.
He's an insider.
Brandon Young.
There we go.
I didn't even look at the
So
top.
we got, I think Monday it's Brandon, then it's John Tilley, and then Kevin's on Friday, I believe. So that'll be great. So I think next week's lineup is really great. Also, I want to just mention a couple of things. There are two events that we're going to be posting about. One is Chris McCabe's event called Seller Velocity. It's the Seller Velocity conference, and that's happening in October, mid-October. I think it's the 11th. I think it's the 11th, 12th. So if you're interested, it's going to be in New York. We'll post that. And then the other one is the Titan Network. They put on the China Magic trip, and I think that's the third week of October. Anyways, I always hear good things about their trips. That's with Athena and Dan. So if you want more information, just check that link. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about update just for a second, then we'll get into this. All this stuff will be edited out in our on the podcast when it gets released next week. But Kelsey,
Yes.
40,000 likes. There we go. And close to 7,000 followers now. on your TikTok channel. That is now a month old. So not bad for a month. That was September the 12th. So, or sorry, 1 month back. Come on, Norm. What's 1 month back? That's July the 12th, Prime Day. So, anyways, yeah, not too shabby. And the beautiful part about this is that I always take a look at this like if you're in karate, if you're in the martial arts, when you start out and you think you're a beginner at a white belt, and then when you're a green belt, you think everything. But for those green belts who want to really understand the martial arts, they'll learn and go and, try things differently. And then when you're a black belt, you think you know everything, but that's really the start of your journey. And that's what we're finding out about this influencer marketing thing, is that we think we've got it down, and we change it, and we're constantly changing it and testing it. And so far, I would think, Kels, the the TikTok is probably our best channel. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Just in terms of the amount of traffic we're driving and just link clicks, and we're starting to get more and more sales per day from these links. But again, it's constantly testing. Like I started getting, I had to change the link app that we're using. So, and then I had some difficulties. Some people were finding it difficult to find links. And so, like I have to make explainer videos or like simplify the process, or there's a lot of little things that we're constantly tweaking. And
it's a long play too, right? It's like if you're expecting all of a sudden you're going to be a success, well, maybe because of your handsome looks, maybe that'll change. The they make this a little bit different than anybody else, right? Of course.
well, yeah,
That's what you were saying to me just before the podcast. Anyway,
yes, of course. But yeah, it's a lot about just testing, and I know looking back, even just a month, seeing the videos that I was doing, I kind of cringe at how bad some of them were. So
look at the first podcast. You want cringe?
Yeah, that's I can.
That's cringeworthy. No, don't even. All right. So, anyways, let's get into the podcast. One thing I do want to mention: we've got a lot of people listening right now. If you want to hear some different topics, we're wide open to it. We've got some ideas we've been talking about, but love to hear your thoughts. Doesn't have to be Amazon based. It could be anything, retail based, more Walmart, more anything at all, social. Let us know so we can make sure that we get that information over to you. But anyways, that's it. Let's see. Any comments, questions, throw them in the comments section. And now we can get to Ritu. So sit back, relax, grab that cup of coffee, enjoy the episode, and welcome, Ritu. I can't hear you.
Norm.
There we go.
Good to see you again.
I have to wonder, did you color coordinate yourself with your background?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
I do that with mine, by the way.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see. You're more on the dark side, and I'm on the red side. So yeah, I think we can.
People have often told me I'm on the dark side.
You
I don't know
are?
why,
No.
but so we're just fresh back from a conference. The
We
conference we were
are.
in Chicago, which was
Yeah,
pretty good,
that's
and
great.
those guys are having another one very close. Like I guess
Yeah.
it's 2 months out, but they're having another conference in Orlando. And once we get the link, we'll let everybody know. What did you think of that? What did you think of the conference?
I liked it. I liked the approach. It was different.
Mhm.
I liked that they were mostly focused on like workshops. It
Right.
wasn't just like one-way streams. Like it wasn't like a speaker telling people what to do, but it was more like a two-way kind of workshop style with a lot of mentorship. And also, I like the idea of think tanks. The fact that you could get into small groups and then brainstorm around a topic. That was unique. I think a lot of conferences don't have that, or if they do, they probably need like a separate day just for workshops and stuff like that. So this was kind of nice the way it was integrated. It was different. I liked
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
different.
thought they did a good job too. So once we get the information from them,
Yeah,
we'll make sure that we post that. All right. So let's talk about the topic today. How
yeah.
do you address the challenge of data fragmentation across various sources like Amazon business reports or ads or external data or stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah. It's very much the elephant in the room
Hmm.
because everybody knows that they have too much data. I think everybody understands that there's no excuse anywhere to not act on data. It's just that it's too voluminous, it's too fragmented, and it's very hard to kind of draw any insights, especially when there's so many factors that are different, like the way data is ingested into certain systems. They might have attribution delays. They might not line up along the same dimensions. For example, some reports are more aligned with ASINs and some are more aligned with SKUs. And then how do you match those up? And how do you match those up with your ads and your keywords and all that stuff? So there's a lot of data out there and very little, skill to kind of merge them skillfully and get the results that you need to make business decisions on the fly, like all the time. So you need systems, right? So I think that's what we're going to talk about today, how we can kind of combine data from different streams and set up a system for yourself that can help you manage your business much better.
Perfect. I'm just seeing that Ben is actually disguised, or Shia is actually disguised as Ben. So he was over I don't know if you know Shia, but he's awesome. He was in Chicago as well.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Anyway, I just saw that come up in the comments. So yeah, that's cool. All right. So what about that amount of data that you have? Like that's always been, I'm not a big data, person. I'm more on the branding, aesthetics, that side of things, bringing out the most in a listing through just copy and aesthetics. You're the complete opposite. You're
Yeah.
at 180. You're data driven. And by the way, data, I have to admit that it's the data that makes the sales.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can have, as long as you have a half decent listing. And
Mm.
once you have that data, then that's the gold mine. And I can tell you, every major seller that I know is data driven.
Yep. Hmm.
So, but it confuses me. Like, I'm looking at it and I have people do it for me because that's not my skill. But what do you look at? What's the information that you need to drive your decisions?
Hmm. Yeah. So, I think that most people that are selling on Amazon, they kind of think that they are selling products, but actually they are just leveraging data. Like, I don't think that there's any product out there that can stand like 100% chance of success unless you've kind of done a lot of keyword research, unless you've done all the things that you need to do to make it successful. So all the decisions we take to make a product sell are based in data. Like, unless you have that handle on the numbers, you're basically just kind of making a shot in the dark, and it's not gonna result in any predictable kind of success. So you might think that it's selling products, but actually you guys are actually leveraging data, starting with whatever Amazon gives us and other tools that give us. So I think there's something to clearing up the clouds or fog around data and making it a little bit more accessible, that maybe people don't talk about. They might talk about strategy, let's say with ads, or let's say with some hacks, or how to get seller support or whatever. But at the end of the day, because you're sitting on this pile of data, this mountain of data, there's something to be said about digging under your feet and you'll find a well there. You're all sitting on like mountains of data, but you probably don't know how to use it. So that's basically the focus of what I wanted to share with you guys today. Now, when it comes to advertising data, there's a few different non-advertising data that we also need to ingest in order to
Okay.
make decisions. So number one, of course, is your business reports, right? You have business reports, but then within business reports also there's like 8 or 9 different types of business reports. There's by date, by ASIN, by child ASIN, the sales and traffic. So there's a bunch of those. So which ones of those should you pay attention to? Then within that, there's a lot of like metrics, like there's a unit session percentage, there's buy box percentage, there is just your regular sales, and so on. Then there's mobile versus desktop, browser views, etc., etc. There's so much there, right? You probably want to pick the ones that make the most sense. When it comes to advertising alone, there's like 35 different reports, actually growing. 35 was like maybe 6 months ago, so now it's probably more. So there's those reports that you need to figure out which ones of those reports actually matter, which ones you can just
So,
maybe, yeah.
Ritu, can we go
Mhm.
back to the business reports?
Absolutely.
And you were talking about the different versions there.
Hmm.
What would you suggest, and which of the KPIs would you focus on as a seller?
Hmm. Yeah, so definitely the daily sales dashboard is one that everybody is probably looking at daily, right? You're probably looking at multiple times a day. But then there's the detail page, sales and traffic by child ASIN report. That's an important one that I go to a lot. And then I also go to the sales and traffic report, because that gives me like a 2-year graphical representation of what's happened. And I can always I can always add to the graph, like from the table below. So there's a graphical section up at the top, and then there's a tabular section at the bottom. You can actually click on any one of those tabular details and say add to graph. And so then it will come up, and then you can see how things are trending. So I'm all about trends. Like, it doesn't matter what data looks like today, because it's going to change the next moment. The moment you've pulled that data, that the very next moment it's already changed. So the only thing that makes sense with data is trends. So being able to see those trends over time. So I think those three would be my kind of go-to, my favorite reports within business reports.
Okay.
And then in terms of, like you said, which of the KPIs within that, I mean, I definitely look at buy box percentage, because that directly impacts advertising. If your buy box percentage tends to be on the lower side, it just means that your ads are going to be in and out, all day long. Like, you lose a buy box, you lose ads, but then there's some ad types that keep running. Believe it or not, there's some ad types that are not buy box aware, so they'll keep running. So you need to know that stuff. So if a little bit of a buy box loss is okay, but too much of it is going to hurt you. And you can't just go in all day long and check what your buy box is right now and then turn off ads. You can't be doing that. Like I said, sponsored products are buy box aware. Some of the other types may not be. So that's the other one. Then we have unit session percentage, probably the most important KPI within the business report, because that tells you the conversion rate in Amazon's terms. So unit session percentage is basically the number of units to sessions. And sessions is just how many people actually showed up and had a session with your page. It doesn't mean how many page visits, but it just means the session itself. Like, if they were there visiting and they kind of browsed around and came back, that's considered a session within the 24 hours. So the ratio of how many people came to your page, and then like what percentage of those people purchased from you, is so important, because it gives you it guides you basically, because you will be able to kind of extrapolate that information for your ads as well. So let's say you have a unit session percentage of 10%. It means every 10th person is likely to buy. And that's a statistic that you can kind of reliably use, as long as you have enough data. Like, if you have very little data, like one order a day and so on, then data will be bouncing around everywhere. It doesn't make sense to look at such short periods of time. You probably want to expand your time out so that you can get more data sufficiency, right? So knowing what your unit session percentage is can help you with your ads. And so having that unit session percentage as a graph, which it doesn't exist anywhere unless you actually set it up that way. You need your unit session percentage as a graph per SKU. And that's kind of a challenge because there's no view on Amazon that does that for you. They give you an aggregate, they give you a graph over time aggregate across the entire account, but they don't give it to you by SKU. So that's basically the challenge that we're trying to solve here.
So they don't give it to you in a graph, and I'm just kind of curious. I've been checking out this program that you've been talking about, or this app on Google called Looker.
Yeah,
And can you import that information into Looker?
absolutely. Yeah.
And then that's where you can
Mm-hmm.
easily turn this into a graph.
Yeah. So importing it into Looker is a little bit of a simplification. There's a step before that because Looker doesn't have any database by itself. It's just a visualization tool, but it can be hooked to any other data source. It could be Google Sheets, or it could be BigQuery, or some sort of cloud-based bucket storage. Those three are the ones that Looker can hook up to, or just a regular database if you're more advanced. But let's say you just have a bunch of CSV downloads from Amazon. You want to stitch that data together, get it into a time series format, and then you can do graphical representations of that data over time. And that's where you get the maximum out of your data, because you see whether it's going up or it's going down or it's staying flat. Those are the things that tell you whether there's a potential for growth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting about Looker. Our operations manager brought it up to us for our press releases and information about that. And she says, this is going to be a game changer. And she loved it. And then a week later, I see that you actually had an event, not an event, but a webinar about Looker. Is that webinar still around?
It is, yeah, it is. It's on our YouTube channel, actually. It's I don't know what it's called, but yeah, it's right there.
Probably Ritu and Looker.
Yeah,
there we go.
Maybe
something like that.
Something like
But
that, yeah.
if you're listening right now and you haven't heard about this Google app, check it out. It's pretty cool, and I know that if you check out the YouTube video, Ritu will do a great job explaining, because that's what she is. She's an educator. She's a master educator. So anyways, let's continue with these different reports.
Yeah. So then we talked about some of the business reports. We talked about going over to the ad reports. There's 35 plus ad reports, and now there's a whole kind of slew of reports under brand analytics. Right? You have your search query performance reports that are also kind of snapshots, and you want to convert them into time series. That's the only way they start to become meaningful. By themselves they have limited benefit, but then the moment you start stitching snapshots together to build them into time series, then you can start to see the trends, and that's what's most interesting. Just to give you an example, with the search query performance report, you can find out search volume of certain search queries, right? Now, recently Amazon made some changes to their autocomplete. The thing where you type in a word and then it auto completes the search. Now they've reorganized that. So the first thing that used to show up is no longer the first thing that shows up anymore. So if someone were to do that and then hit tab or just press down and pick the first option from the options presented, then your search volume is now shifted to a different keyword. You used to be really good with one keyword. Well, now it's no longer the first keyword and it's somewhere below, and people have to actually click down to get it from the autocomplete. They're not going to do that. So we noticed large volumes of data, large volumes of search volume data just dwindle into nothingness. So one month, search volume on a certain search query was 80,000. Next month, it was 20,000. So it's not like demand for that product has gone away. It's just that it's got rearranged. Something else has more search volume now. And so you want to make sure that you're optimized for that new search query. So all this was possible for us to see when we did a month over month analysis with search query performance data. So that's search query performance. Then there's another big kind of area for data gathering, which is basically your keywords, right? Keyword rank tracking. Keyword rank tracking is generally available as trends with most of the softwares that we see out there. The problem, though, is that that is kind of locked inside that software. You can't extract it out. It's very hard to get that out and do an analysis with everything else you have going. If you're maybe doing some sort of, I don't know, lightning deal strategy or something, or you've changed a few things on your listing and you want to see how it pans out with any impact on keyword ranking, etc. You now have to go to, let's say, Helium 10 or Jungle Scout or whatever, go there, download a report, then upload it somewhere, then compare it with something else, then do a VLOOKUP, and then try to figure out what's going on. And then you have to do this like week over week, month over month. That's too much work. It's just too much. It's just disparate information that you can't stitch together in one common place. Which is why, again, like I said, you need a system. You need a system that is bringing in data from different sources, blending it together so that anytime you need to make a decision, you don't have to go to 5 different systems. You have it in one system. And if you think that you can get a software that does all of this magically, there is no such software. There's no software that actually gives you all of this information in the format that you want. And I mean, even if there was one or two softwares that are close enough, they're going to be super expensive. Like they're super expensive for what you're trying to do. So for the average seller, those softwares are out of question. You're not going to pay like thousands of dollars just to be able to see data from different streams. So what options do you have? Well, you can build that system yourself. And that's what I'm here to say, that you can actually build that system yourself. And then there's ways to kind of stream data in through different APIs that are available. I didn't touch on some of the other APIs. There's also Keepa. I don't know if you guys know about Keepa. I think everybody knows about Keepa, right? Keepa gives you competitor information, price tracking information, events like like lightning deals that your competitors are doing, or price changes that they're undergoing, or things like like how many UPCs they have, etc., etc. There's a lot of information in the Keepa API. How can you ingest that information in making business decisions with the rest of the stuff that you're doing? So basically, we're saying that with ads, there is the ad data, of course, but that there's other external data that can help you make better decisions if you just knew what was going on in these other data spaces.
Okay, so you were talking about bringing in all these different systems. Now, I know you can't show us, but how are you doing this?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I can't share my screen for people who are watching on YouTube or any other visual, if that's
Okay,
okay.
perfect.
Yeah, okay. So let me share my screen here.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
Before you do that, you can get the screen set up,
yeah.
but why don't we talk about the Wheel of Kelsey? So if you're new, and I see that there's a bunch of new people listening today, if you never watched this podcast before, we have something at the top of it, the hour, called the Wheel of Kelsey. And this is where we give away a product or a service or something. And to enter this, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people, you get a second entry. And today we have a giveaway from PPC Ninja. And Ritu, why don't you let us know what that is?
Yeah, so basically, we're going to do like a free data audit to see how well you are set up for success with respect to your data. Like, how are you doing your data ingestion from different streams? Like, what is your system? And we're going to evaluate that and give you recommendations. So that's basically the giveaway.
Very good. All right. So if you're interested in this, and by the way, having somebody like Ritu do this, she's one of the top in the industry. So it is worth it. Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll grab a second entry. Now, before we get to Ritu's screen, let's have a word from our sponsor. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show. All right. Now we're back.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so for those of you who are listening only, I'll just share, what the screen is showing right now. We're basically talking about snapshots versus time series. And on the left, I have like snapshots of data that a snapshot is basically when you go to Amazon and say, hey, give me data for this period of time, and you download a report. That is a snapshot. It is static. The moment you download it, it is static. It's not changing. It's not showing you a trend. So snapshots are great for like one-time analysis and for aggregate data only. Whereas the moment you start stitching together different snapshots and joining them on a date, basically that becomes your key, the primary key that combines data across different snapshot time periods. Then you get a time series report. A time series report can help you do continuous data analysis, which means the data itself is continuous in nature and you can see trends there. You can do drill downs with that sort of data. You can do trend analysis. You can combine other time series reports, because guess what? The thing that's common between two time series report is time. So all you need to do is combine that data. The date remains the same, and your data values are different from two different sources. So you now have the ability to combine them and see them on the same graph. Just to give you an example, if you want to see your ACOS over time and your TACOS over time, how do you do that? You obviously want to have two different time series and you combine them, and then you can see both those in the same view, which is really powerful. You can also draw correlations and comparisons. Think about, combining things that you would never have thought matter with another kind of data. For example, let's say if you were to do an analysis of buy box percentage over time and ad sales over time, there's no view anywhere that gives you that information together. But if you put it all together in a time series, then you can combine them and you can see both those values in the same graph. And then there's also predictions that you can do, because obviously when you have a trend-based data, you can use regression analysis or any kind of like trending metrics to kind of show you how it's going up or down or flat. And then this kind of data is more data sufficient because it's accumulated over a period of time, not just a snapshot of time. So that's basically how you would start to transition stuff. Now there is a data management framework that, don't get intimidated. It's just a way of saying ETL. ETL basically stands for extract, transform, and load. And this is just a standard practice in data science where, when you want to actually analyze large volumes of data, then you need to extract different pieces of data from different sources, which are basically snapshots. And then you want to do some data scrubbing, which basically means you're getting it ready for ingestion. Examples of data scrubbing could be, let's say one report from Amazon, let's say the search query performance report, you've downloaded it for the month. It already provides you with a date column, which is really cool because it's already in time series format, alignment with time series format. However, if you go and download, let's say a search term report, not search term, if you go to the business report, let's say, and you download the detailed page sales and traffic report by Child ASIN. If you download that, there is no date column in that. So you got to do an additional column so that you can then match these two guys together, right? So that sort of stuff, you need to scrub your data. So that's the transformation phase. And then you load it up into some sort of data warehouse or some sort of system where all of these data streams have been put together in tables and stuff. So that's where you start to kind of render your data in the format that is now ready for visualization. So the last step of this framework is the visualization piece. So visualization is where you actually showcase different, like looking at slices and dices of data and showing them or building stories out of your data. You're forcing your data to kind of give you a story that you or some sort of outline that you couldn't see otherwise, right? So the visualization piece is where Looker Studio comes in, right? The previous three pieces are different software. So let me just show you what this low code, no code framework looks like. So here is three different softwares that are all from Google, right? So Google Sheets, everybody knows Google Sheets, no explanation needed. Google BigQuery, this is the data warehouse where you can actually load up a lot of data from different sources into different tables. And then you can run queries on those. And then there's Looker Studio, which is your visualization software, right? Now, now, where do you get your raw data from? Your raw data could come from directly from Amazon, either through an API. You could use an API to stream that data into your system, or you could have a VA download it at a particular frequency that you define, and then let it go into this system, and then you can convert that into time series there. You can have ad data. So just to say, PPC Ninja actually streams ad data out into Google Sheets. So that can be used as is, because it's got your ad data has a time stamp on it. So we provide you the timestamp so that you can see how it's trending. Everything is trending. And then there's Keepa and other APIs. There's so many APIs that you could pick up from and put it into the system. So this is basically kind of the blueprint, the framework that I'm working with, and also suggesting where your organization needs a data ecosystem where you have all these pieces. Now, how you achieve this is up to you, depending on what size of business you are. If you're a small business, you're fine with Google Sheets alone, like if you don't have a lot of volume of data. But just know that Google Sheets starts to break after a certain point. Like the moment you cross a certain number of rows, it will start to hang on you. It will start to say things like too many rows, blah, blah, blah. So Google Sheets has its limits, but it's great for like small businesses. You can actually do all three things there if your business is really small. But the moment you start to scale, then this is the system you're looking at. Yeah.
Does for a smaller seller, can anybody get access to the Amazon API?
Anyone can apply for it. Now, they might need a little bit of help in setting things up. So yes, there is something called the SP API. You can basically get that API. And if you use one of the third-party tools out there to pipe that data into your system, that's great, because then you don't need any development effort inside your organization. So you can do that. Yeah, I think that's the best way. I mean, and let's say you don't want to use an API, you don't want to go there, then the simplest other way is go through this VA route. Set up an SOP where they go in once a week or once a month or daily, whatever you like. Actually, daily is a recipe for failure, because attribution and all that stuff, you guys know this. So maybe weekly or monthly goes in and downloads certain reports, scrubs that data, adds a time series stamp or a timestamp on the period, so that you know what that data is representing, which period of time it's representing, and then you stitch it all together.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? I know we have one. We'll get to it shortly, but we've got quite a few people that are listening. I see Tony just joined us. Anybody have questions? Ritu's here. Doesn't matter, if it's a beginner, a new seller, or right up to advanced. Let us know. Don't hold back, and we can get to them at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing that I think that's important, especially for people that are either having their first VA or they're doing it all themselves. How much time does it take to implement all this?
If you've got the system kind of nailed down, I think it doesn't take that much time. I think most of the time gets wasted in not knowing what you're doing. Like if you know what you're doing, if you tell your VA exactly what you want, then it's not that much of a burden on the system. I think it's pretty doable. And if you use an organization like VAA, or even if you go and find really good talent in the Philippines or other places, you can set this up, and it's not that expensive, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not expensive at all. And
yeah,
thank you for mentioning one of our sponsors, by the
yeah.
way.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I thought that's probably the right thing to do.
But the main thing is
Yeah,
you can get this set up fairly quickly, fairly uncomplicated, just depending on the size of your business. And you can always expand and grow out, and bring in different levels of VAs as you grow.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to show one or two more examples, if that's
Sure.
okay, Norm. Yeah, so I think, let me just scroll here. Okay, so I wanted to show you search query performance and what you can do with it once you have it in the time series format. So here's an example of using search query revenue per search term over time. Most people have looked at the search query performance for, let's say, gaps in what they're advertising, looking for new words to advertise. That's a fine use of the search query performance report. But then there's also this kind of analysis you can do where you have searches on the rows. Each row is a search query. And then in the columns, I have my different months. So I have 8 months of data here from October through May. And then what I've done here is I have assigned a dollar value or a revenue per search term amount here. And then I'm seeing the trend over time. Basically, every search query has, like you can find out the price, the average price that each search query is representing, and it's part of the search query performance report. So you just multiply that by your ASIN purchases count, and that will give you the dollar amount. And so you can see how things trend over time. And then you can also see one more thing. This first search query is bringing in $23,000 per month, whereas this one at the bottom, okay, let's take this one, $845 per month. Which one do you think is more important? Obviously the first one. So in this case, you get a different view of the data. It's not just the count of conversions, but it also is the amount, the dollar amount that each search term is worth. And then you're seeing how much that goes up or down over time. So like this trend shows that in December, the same dollar amount was almost double. It was $51,000 from one search term. And so you know that this is an important search term that you want to absolutely keep no matter what, because it's bringing you revenue. So this is one way. I'm going to skip this one, but let me show you another example. Sorry, I'm going to scroll through here real quick.
No problem.
Okay, here you go. So here's one where I did a SKU performance over time, and this is coming from business reports, right? So you want to download your detailed page, sales and traffic by SKU, and download that report. And so now what I'm doing here is I'm plotting the unit session percentage for a select number of SKUs over time. Like I said earlier, this is a view that you don't get within Seller Central. There's no place in Seller Central that shows you per SKU how the conversion rate or the unit session percentage trended over time. And if, let's say, you have, let's say, variations, you can select those variations and see how the variations are trending in a set. Like this is a set of 5. So I've just picked 5. And I can see the blue variation has the highest unit session percentage off late. So there's something going on here. So that gives me an input for my PPC. Like I know that this is the one that I need to kind of prioritize because of the advantages that I'm seeing here with the conversion rate. Another way of looking at things is your sales trend by selected SKUs over time. again, not available on Seller Central. You can see in this set of 5 SKUs, there seems to be like some sort of downward trend, but you can also see which of the variations has the highest sales amongst all. So that's another kind of cool way of visualizing your data. So there's many ways of like visualizing once you have all the data into your system.
I noticed that this is a presentation and you have many different reports within that presentation. Is that available anywhere? Or is that part of a course that you did? How would people, if they wanted to understand the different, okay.
So I can give you like I do have a QR code. If you want to download my slides, you can do that. And I've used this the slide deck in the past, but if you want to download it, I can share that right now.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different examples here that you could.
Is it PPC Ninja or PPC Wizard? According to Kyle, it's PPC Wizard.
Kyle, thank you. The only difference is the wizard has a wand and a ninja might have like a shuriken or something.
We'll make sure you get one.
Okay. So here is my, 1 second. Here are my QR code for my slides if you want to download them. So that'll give you access to all the other examples I have in this
awesome
in this deck. Yeah.
So we'll make sure that if this is on a podcast that we get you this QR code somehow. But I just noticed that as you were going through, you had all these other reports that you had within this presentation. So first of all, thank you so much for providing this. I'm sure that you weren't expecting me to ask that, so I appreciate it. Okay, the next question is, what should businesses expect to see once they start to implement these changes in their Amazon ads?
Yeah, I think better decision making. That would be the most important benefit of this. You'll be able to see, like, let's say, which search terms are more valuable. You'll be able to see how things are trending, let's say search volume trends. You'll be able to switch gears when you see variations, how different variations are performing. So there's a lot. I touched on a few, but there's so many different ways. I mean, sky's the limit when it comes to creativity with your data. And even I haven't uncovered all the possible use cases of, using all of this data together. But just having it and just allowing yourself to absorb the splendor of it will give you some ideas. The more time you spend with data, the more ideas you will get and the better decisions you'll be able to make over time.
Yeah. And, we talked at the very beginning about, or at least for me, I'm not into the data side. Other people on the team are. I like aesthetics. I like looking at creating images or creating the totally optimized product listing, right? That's something I can jump 2 feet into and get that done. However, on the data side, I can do it, but I'm not great at it. And, that's the weakness. I don't play off my weakness. I don't have our team play off their weaknesses. I want them to play off their strengths. But by doing what you're doing is by making this a visual, like a graphic, all of a sudden my blood pressure goes up. Like I can look at it and I can go, oh, that's so cool. Oh, I can make a decision, where if I go into business reports, I'm going, oh God, this is so boring.
Yeah.
But
yes.
By doing this, that makes a huge change. So if you're a decision maker, and hopefully it's just not your decision, but somebody that knows the data and how they can apply it to the account. But it's like knowing your numbers. And if you can see this and you can visualize this and you can act on it, now you've got, even through a graphic, the ability to act on it rather than just looking at columns and rows, which is so different. It's more of a binary thing where it's just blah.
Right.
Well, you love
Yeah.
it probably. Like your heart's going like this, and my heart's like fossilized.
Yeah, Looker Studio is like my dessert.
There we go. There we go.
Like,
So-
what can I do today with Looker Studio?
There we go. So if anybody has any questions, we do have some questions in here. We'll start to answer them right away. But if you have not put in for the Wheel of Kelsey giveaway, make sure you do. Rita, like who was it? Kyle was saying, she is a wizard. And don't miss out on this opportunity to have an audit. And she's going to be talking about, how you can apply what she's found. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. But let's get into the questions now. Anytime, Kelsey, you can just unmute and do your thing. Just unmute and do your thing.
Okay, so from Neil, a lot of gurus say they shouldn't run PPC until you have 10 or 15 reviews when you're first launching. I think that's probably BS, but what do you guys think?
You're probably right. I definitely run PPC the moment we launch a product, because it's a little bit of a chicken and egg, right? In order to get those 15 reviews, you need a lot of sales. In order to get a lot of sales, you need to push it. And when you launch a product on Amazon, it's basically sitting at the bottom of a very large pile of products. And so getting visibility, you're essentially relying on Amazon, right, to do that for you. And without PPC, you probably won't be able to do it. Or you might be relying on external traffic, which is still a little bit better, I guess, if you have external traffic and you're counting on the honeymoon period from Amazon to kind of help you get some visibility. That's fine. But I generally run PPC right at the start. So I agree with you there.
All right. Very good. Next.
Okay, next one is from Tony. Do you prefer to pay salary monthly or hourly for any VAs that you're working with?
Yeah, good question. So I generally, we generally start with an hourly, just because we want to get to know each other. Like, we need to know if this VA is a good fit for us. Once we have sufficient evidence that it's going to work, then we convert it into salary.
I do something a bit different. So if the position is open, if we're getting enough interest and we get busy enough, we typically will hire somebody on a probationary period, not hourly, probationary period. And if it's at the 20-hour mark, we think we'll be using them, we hire them full time. And then we have that over a 3-month period where we can come to a decision anytime over that 3 months. And by the way, some people take advantage of this where a VA will say, oh, I'll work for free for the probation period, or some people ask for that. We're 100% against that.
Yeah,
people
same.
get paid for what they do.
Yeah. I mean, even with interns, we don't do them for free.
Same here.
Yeah.
Interns get paid.
Get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
Okay, last one, also from Tony. Are you on TikTok, Ritu?
No, I am not.
I have seen you dance, and I think that you should go on TikTok.
So tell me how this TikTok will go, right? With ads and stuff. Like, what kind of ninja ad TikTok should I do? Maybe Kelsey can give me some tips there.
Sure. After the podcast, he'd be, but just, going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on TikTok that look at Anthony Lee. He had 53,000 followers, I think. But I think there was an interruption at some point. So he lost the account, I think. So I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But then he's doing some other stuff. But
Okay.
stuff like this, these tips that you can give out to people would do
Yeah.
really, really well on TikTok.
Hmm.
That's the
Hmm.
same for a brand. You know,
Yeah.
if you're passionate about anything, which you are, but the brand as well, TikTok is a pretty good alternative. Plus, by the way, again, different rabbit hole, TikTok Shop. So we're talking to the heads of TikTok Shop. I think next week or so we've got a meeting with them, and we can give you a lot more information. Hopefully, we can get them on the podcast too.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have one more question from Shaya. Do you feel the time to be the most aggressive with PPC is right at launch? And how do you factor budgets like how much you should spend and what launch a cost should look like?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what kind of seller you are, like some people are invested in the long term, like they want their products to be part of a line, and that line matters, and this product is part of that line, and there's an identity around it. You definitely want to think and plan for the long term. In which case, the first 3 months, don't even bother about ACOS. I mean, you can't because things are so expensive. CPCs are now $2, $3, $4. This was unheard of like a year, 2 years ago. Like, I mean, they're even starting at $3 or $4. It's like crazy. So it's very natural for ACOS to be super high in the first couple of months. I would say 2 to 3 months. And if you feel like these products are, like kind of throwaway experiments, like it doesn't matter if it doesn't succeed kind of thing, then you can be more conservative with the amount of time you're willing to spend on the high ACOS period. Like maybe just do the first 45 days and then let it uh, kind of play out its own fate. If the product is worthy, it will survive. If not, then it's time for it to go, kind of thing. Because literally the first couple of months decide the future of a product. I mean, I haven't seen any products that had a terrible start but then later on became like bestsellers in their category. It's just everything happens at the beginning, so you want to attack it with all guns blazing right at the start, making it, giving it its best shot, so that it can survive. So yeah.
Okay. Looks like Tony's got a question too, and I've never heard of this. I don't know this
Yes.
event.
I know this event.
Do you?
Yeah, because PPC Ninja is sponsoring it, so I will be there. Are you
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it. What is it?
it's in Australia. It's run by
Oh, yes. I've heard. Sorry, I was thinking North American.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, no. I'm not going. I'd love to go. I heard last year it was very good.
very good. Yeah.
But 25-hour flights for an old guy. Ah.
Norm, you're not supposed to use that O word. That shouldn't exist in your dictionary.
All right. Fossil.
Oh my
The
God, that's an
fossil
F
of the
word.
Yes,
That's the
yes,
F
that's
word.
it. That is the F word. I'm the fossil of the e-com, niche.
Oh my God. Too
Okay,
funny.
so we got one more.
One more question, and then we'll close things up. From Shaya,
Yeah.
when do you start scaling back to lower ACOS?
Yeah, so anywhere between month 2 and month 3, we start to slowly decrease. So let's say your first month is running at 80% ACOS, second month, around 70, and then you start to bring that down to 50, 30, 40, 40, 30, and converge very quickly on your target ACOS. So no more than 3 months, no less than a month and a half.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Ritu, if somebody wants to reach out and get a hold of your company, how do
Yeah.
they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to, you can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm there, my full name, Ritujava. Or you could just reach out to me by email, ritu@ppcninja.com.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to have a word from our sponsor. Then we'll come back for the Wheel of Kelsey. And if you haven't entered, last chance, #Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by Rebate. Attention sellers and brand owners, want to reach more shoppers and boost sales? Rebate's platform connects sellers with shoppers seeking great deals on new products. They make it easy to offer promotions, handle rebates, and ensure seamless redemptions. With countless reviews from satisfied customers, Rebate is the go-to solution to increase your sales. Visit rebate.com today and start reaching more shoppers. Now let's get back to the show. All right. So, Kelsey, it's that time.
Yes, it's that time. We got a couple entries. Yeah, it should be good. Let's see. It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey. Here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. This is going to be a good one, whoever wins.
All right. Okay, so I think everyone is in. Let me see. I'll spin it up. Thank you, everyone, for entering. We do this every single podcast. Let's see who today's winner is.
Man,
Drip
Drip got it again.
Wow, he's on a roll.
It is, yes.
All right, congratulations,
Congratulations, Drip.
Drip. Email me at k@lunchwithnorm.com and we'll set you up.
Okay, very good. Ritu, thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait till
Thank
you're
you.
on the next time. And I don't know where I'm going to see you in the world, but can't wait.
Soon. Take
Soon,
care. Have
I
a good
hope.
one.
All right. See you, Ritu. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was awesome. Like we were mentioning earlier on at the top of the, or at noon, if you do have any ideas for some topics, please let us know. We've got a bunch of people. Actually, we're booked for about 2 months, but we are looking for some new ideas. So anyways, just let us know. Kelsey, where are you?
All right. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for watching today's episode. Make sure you smash those like buttons. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're almost at 3,000. I think we're like 2 or 3 subscribers away from that. So we really appreciate that. Redbeard, have a great weekend. You too, my friend. We also have Jose. Yes, great episode. Enjoy the weekend, Beardos. It's good seeing everyone. Dripfoot says, really great, good episode. Thanks, Ritu. So thank you, everyone, for joining. We got some new viewers as well. Good to see Jaden. Hey, how's it going? And yeah, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. We're a podcast as well. So if you listen on Spotify, Apple, we're everywhere. You can listen to podcasts. We'll be there. And I think that's it.
All right. So join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Like I say, at the end of every episode, we could not do this without our awesome community. If you'd like to be part of the community, go to our Facebook group. That's the Lunch with Norm, the eCommerce and Amazon FBA Collective, where you're going to see tons of people, very interactive, tons of engagement. And we have just a ton of people answering questions and becoming engaged. So again, welcome. You're welcome if you want to join us. It's an awesome group, but I'm a little biased. Anyways, that's it for today. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend and see you then.
Lunch with Norm.